Hi, everyone. Good evening. Well, it's somewhat good afternoon this time. So we're doing this a little bit different. You guys know we normally broadcast at around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time during the week. But for the month of June, we're doing things a little bit earlier. So if you're not here with us live, then I definitely hope that you can catch the replay for the month of June. It's Marsha. I'm back again for our Bundle 6. And you ladies know that Bundle 6 is all about your credit report. And I have someone amazing for you tonight. You've probably read all about her in your workbooks all month long that you've had a chance to do that now. I have with me Miss Nativa Hurd of M&H Financial Services, and she is a wealth of knowledge, over a decade in the real estate industry, over a decade as a credit counselor, just a ton of knowledge. And we're just talking right before the session started about who she really supports, and it's typically individuals or couples over the age of 30. So I'm sure that many of you ladies can relate this evening. Nativa, thank you so much for being here and for joining us tonight. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you guys.
Thank you. And listen, ladies, what you don't know is that Nativa is about to jump on the road for a brief road trip. So I was able to catch her, and I'm so grateful that she had a few minutes for us. So I don't plan to keep her long today because I know how it is to have to travel for a very long period of time. But I have your questions to position to her tonight. I want to get them answered because I know that this is a huge topic for many of you. I've heard that a lot of you really care a lot about your credit. I've heard from many of you that said that you would prefer not to use credit because you're switching to this all cash type of living, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But I want to get this information from the expert so she can tell us what is the most beneficial and how we should be working our plans. So, Nativa, I want to ask you first, why is credit reports and credit scores so important or so valuable to us in general?
Awesome. Well, when I heard you say that people want to turn it all cash, I almost screamed.
Yeah.
Only because just how the American society is set up is so credit driven.
Okay.
Even if you're not utilizing credit as most people associate credit with debt, it's still like everything we do is based off of our credit score. Like I'm my own best testimony. When I was in my probably early to late 20s, I was not worried about my credit at all. And I paid higher to even turn on the cell phone, to turn on my utilities. I remember I tried to get a job at UBS Warburg and was denied because of my credit. Okay. So it's every single facet of your life requires in some sort on credit, whether they check in your score or the data. So I'm glad that you mentioned both credit report and credit scores, because not everybody gets our credit score when they're checking our credit information. For example, employers, they don't check our credit score, they just check the data. So I always want you to make sure whether you're deciding to utilize credit to build and leverage it to build wealth, such as for opening up a business, obtaining amount of business credit, because some lenders who issue out business credit also want to make sure you at least have a 640 credit score. Or if you're going real estate and real estate investing, to always make sure that you're checking both credit data on your credit reports as well as your credit score. So credit is like almost on every it's everywhere. You can't deny it. So I hope that even if you decide not to carry debt on your credit, which is what I teach anyway, that you at least are being mindful of what's on your credit report, ensuring that it's a decent enough number so that you're not paying extra. So if you're about this all cash life, meaning not carrying any debt, then ensuring that your credit is on point is making sure that you keep more coins in your pocket to utilize what you want to use it for, and not to because your credit scores are so low and you're therefore more of a risk. So I don't want you to any longer think of credit as a debt score. Think of it how a business looks at it, which is your risk of doing business. And you want your risk to be up here.
Right.
Be up here, because down here, when you're not maintaining a positive credit score, can you guys see my hands?
Yep, we can see them. I can see them
down here. Okay, when you're at the 3 to maybe I'll say 620, you can do some things at 580, but you don't want that 500 life. Okay,
no.
Down here, this is bad risk, poor risk, can't gauge risk. Therefore, I either have to say no, or I have to increase the interest rate, the terms, get more money up front.
Okay.
To cushion the amount of risk I want to take on you.
Ah. Yeah, makes total sense.
Okay. Where I can deal with her. She pays her bills on time. She doesn't carry a lot amount of debt. That's important. Doesn't carry a lot of debt. She has more available credit than she's using, because there's a different way, and we can chat about that in a little bit, on how when you want to use credit and when you kind of want to scale back. So when you're buying a home, buying a car, getting a business, then you kind of want to scale back on how much you're using per month. But if you're looking to build your credit increase or your credit limits, that's when you want to start using your credit more. And maybe, and I hate to even say this, carry a balance a little bit, just a little bit, because then a credit card provider is like, oh, we can make some money off of her, even if they never take it, and start increasing your limits. So some of you, I'm not sure what all is in the bottle, but you're going to be in the rebuilding stage. And so you may want to start using your credit more when you get the statement. Feel free to pay it off or leave a very little small balance so they can make a little bit of money off of you. And then when 6 months hit, start asking for increases, because the more of your credit that you're not using, which is eventually what you want to get to, those higher limits, that's a great risk. So into a conference, I'm sorry, and I'll let you ask question. This is me.
No, that's okay. No, I'm listening. That's good.
From FICO was there, and we asked what was the sweet spot of your utilization, because 30% is thrown out there so vastly. And they actually said you lose points at 30%. That should be like your new credit limit in your head. So if you're saying, let's just start off with my credit limit is $1,000. That's how much my credit card credit limit is. If you're thinking my credit limit is 30%, 300, then obviously you're not going to want to hit that limit. You're going to want to stay under, right?
Yes.
So you should start thinking that your limits is 300 and you want to stay under that. So your sweet spot should be between 5 to 7%. And as your limits increase to the 10, 20, 30,000, and some of you I hope will be, then you're okay with like 1 to 3, 1 to 5%. That was a fast answer, huh?
No, that was an amazing answer. That was an amazing answer. So listen, out of everything that you said, two things really piqued my attention. When you were talking, the first one was you talked about the difference between, even though someone may not be using their credit score or their credit report and thinking of it as like a debt report,
right?
They need to be mindful of the data that's on the report. Can you break that down just so everyone can have a really clear understanding of what you mean by that? Because I know what the fear is for a lot of them. The fear is that I need to have debt on there. I'm sure you hear this all the time, is that I don't want to have the debt. I just don't want, because of bad experiences, right? So you feel like you never want to go back. So can you just tell them, what do you mean when you say using it more so as a data report opposed to like a debt report?
Right. So you want to ensure that even things that don't factor into your score are on point. For example, your addresses, your names. That's actually the #1 place that I go to when I review a credit report, because it's a clear indication of if there's any type of identity theft going on. I'll never forget, I had a consultation come in, and she just couldn't figure out where all these other accounts was coming from. She kept sending dispute letters, and she's like, I know this isn't mine. I don't even live in this state. And I said, well, have you checked the personal data area to see what? She went in there, like 11 social security numbers. She's been disputing for like 7, 8 months.
Oh, wow.
Okay, this is why you check the personal data section first, to make sure that everything is correct, because it's not like the bureaus are going out there grabbing that information. All of that information is fed to them, and then they put it on your credit report.
Wow.
You want to make sure that even that is correct, up to date, and accurate. Then you want to go to your account section. A lot of people go straight to the negative, but it's some positive information that can report inaccurately as well. And that can totally screw up your credit. I'll never forget when Capital One was getting, I don't know if they got sued or fined, but what they would do is say, okay, this person spent $500 this month, and then they would make the credit limit either $0 or $500. So how that will calculate with a FICO score or a credit score is as if you have went over limit by 500%. So let's say if your credit limit was 10,000, you only spent 500. That's perfect. If you have a credit limit of 0 and you spent 500, that is horrible.
That's horrible. Yeah.
So many clients that they eventually, they got in trouble with by the FTC because of that. This is a huge problem because it totally screws up people's utilization, their credit scores, which means they pay higher for everything.
Right.
Make sure you check the positive information. You want to check that the account number is correct, the open and close dates, if applicable. You want to ensure, because now they even break down how much you pay per month and what your balances are. So you want to check all of that information to make sure it's correct. And just keep in mind that everything on a credit report is past. Nothing is present tense. So if you were to make a payment, let's say you made a payment yesterday, it won't be there tomorrow.
Right, right.
It won't be today. It'll be there whenever they report, and each company typically reports once a month.
Okay, at least once a month.
At least once a month.
Okay.
Actually, most. And then you do want to check for the negative information, because if you find anything incorrect, that can be an opportunity for you to get it removed or at least updated to be more positive.
Okay.
If you find an error that's helping you, I suggest you leave it alone.
Don't even go mess with it, right?
But if you find something that's incorrect, I always tell people to check for 5 things. And this is why you want to pull all 3 credit reports. You want to make sure if it's accurate, if it's complete. That means all of the information should be complete between, like, everything, the date, the open, the close, the balance, the status, the date of last activity. All of that information should be there because that's why it's listed. Then you want to make sure that it's consistent.
Okay.
That's why you have all 3 credit reports, because if one company is reporting to all 3 bureaus, then it should have all three of the bureaus should have consistent information between the 3.
Yes. Okay.
There's inconsistent information between one or the other. Usually something's incorrect is being fed, and then you can challenge that with a dispute letter to potentially get that negative item removed.
Okay.
Now remember, we're talking negative. If it's positive, you want to go to the company directly.
Okay.
And have it updated, because you're not trying to remove your positive information.
Right.
But if it's negative, that's when it's an opportunity for you to go ahead and try to get it off of your credit report or update it more positively.
Okay.
The next thing is if it's questionable. A lot of people have accounts that it's been a while, they don't know, and it's really like, I don't know, I don't quite remember that. So just go ahead and send a dispute letter and ask them to verify, validate, provide information, provide documentation. So that's another thing. And then if it's timely, and that's the reporting limitation rule. And generally it's 7 years from the date of first delinquency. A lot of people say last activity. It's the date of first delinquency.
Of first delinquency. Okay.
Right. First time you
delinquency.
Never brought the account current again.
Okay.
Okay.
Accurate, complete, consistent, questionable, and timely. Okay. Did you get that, ladies? I took notes. If you didn't, I have them for you. I'll make sure I put them. I'll make sure I put them somewhere so I can pass these on. Something else that you mentioned earlier that I want to make sure everyone understands is that you talked about, and I have it here. I want to make sure that I'm remembering what you said. Okay, the 30%, you mentioned the 30% rule of using utilization, but you mentioned that if 30% is the limit, so correct me if I'm wrong, okay? So if you have a $1,000 available credit line and you use 30% of that available limit, that's not what we should be doing, because that's the limit. We should be trying to use below that. So what is that sweet spot you mentioned? Around what percentage of utilization?
I love the sweet spot of 5 to 7%. But if you
5 to 7, okay,
are like higher than that,
yes.
Your main goal, I usually do brackets. So if you're above 30, let's say some people are maxed out, then it's like, okay, let's bring it, to 50, then to 30, then under 20,
okay.
And eventually under 10. And then it also is how you pay the card. Some people, will charge up to that 30%, but then they pay it off when they get the statement. If that's not a possibility, then you're not trying to go higher than that at all. I know some people utilize their credit cards as an emergency fund. No.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're borrowing somebody else's money for an emergency and then paying them back with interest.
Yes.
I know you teach big time money management, so I don't even have to go into that. Setting up, savings, emergencies, and figuring all of that out. But that's not what your credit is used for. It's great to have it in case something is like humongous. Like, for example, last summer, actually, it was like the refrigerator went out, the central air, what else? The plumbing issues. It was just bananas. Okay. Emergency phone was gone, and we have a nice little stack. Okay. like, oh my God, it was like thousands upon thousands. So if something like that happened, it's great to have credit to rely back on, but your money management skills should be so on point that you're able to easily replenish both the emergency fund, the credit card bill, all of that, et cetera, et cetera. So the main thing is 5 to 7% is your sweet spot.
That's the sweet spot. Okay.
Always try to stay in between that. And that's especially great for those of you who want to live the all cash life, because that's easily maintainable and you can easily pay that off when you get the statement. I'm big on not paying by the due date, but by the statement date.
By the statement date. Tell us what you mean by that, but not the due date. So if tomorrow, if like when you pay the bill, like as soon as the bill comes, is that what you mean?
Or because I'm really good about paying based on my budget and pay schedule.
Okay.
Versus when the bill is due.
I see.
Okay. I don't ever want to pay at the bill due date or after, of course. So I set my date of when we're going to pay the bills, and I have my clients do this as well. And then they're just going to pay the bill whether it's due yet or not. Just make sure that the statement is out. So you don't have to go by the due date. Too many things happen when you wait till the due date.
That's right.
And then, you know, some companies have a cutoff date that most people are not aware of. So if you go and try to pay after 8, after 7, and then
yes,
time zone,
yes,
it's late. And
it sure is.
Late fee. So why even bother that? If you get the statement, have that statement day. So if your billing date is, you know, the 30th to, I don't know, the 29th, you're going to get a statement.
Yes.
Make sure you put, that's when you pay. When you get that statement, okay, I get a statement every day on the 15th. I get paid on the 18th. I'll just pay it then. Don't wait the whole 15 days.
Okay.
Go ahead and knock it out while you have it. That way you have time to recoup if something happens. So
true. So not the due date, ladies, on the statement date. And it can be done, and that can be done based on your budget. And even though that bill is not necessarily due, you can still go ahead and pay it. And I like to call that like just practicing healthy financial habits, period. Like we don't have to sit around and wait on the due date. Right. Perfect. Next up, the components of a credit report. Can you break those down in like really simple terms for us? Like what are the components? Like what are the meat and potatoes of our credit score?
Okay, of the credit score, you have the 5 components.
Okay.
So you have the biggest, which is payment history.
Okay.
Payment history is your whole history. So that's positive, negative, super good, super bad. So you have your collections, your public records, your charge-offs, your closed accounts, your open positive accounts, late payments. All of that is your payment history. And that makes up 35% of your score. Okay. The next one is the amount owed category. A lot of people call this utilization, but it's actually more than utilization. It's like 5 components of that. So in the amount owed category, the hugest chunk is utilization, and that is how much of your credit limits have you used. Your installment loans, which are like student loans, personal loans, car loans, home loans, that makes up a very small section of the amount owed category. The credit cards are the big chunk of that category. So that's why when someone is not using credit or looking to improve their credit, and I notice that they don't have credit cards, simply adding a credit card and doing on-time payments and keeping that utilization, the debt to credit utilization low, see their scores jump so quickly. So if you guys have ever been online and said, oh, I had a 350 credit score and now it's 600, it's usually because they didn't have any credit cards.
Right. You didn't have a credit card sitting on there, right?
Like you see the boost. And so you may see the credit professionals like, look what I did. It's like, no, all you did was add some.
All you did was add a credit.
Don't even.
No, that's the only reason you have it is because you added that card.
Exactly. And for those of you who may have high utilization, meaning that your cards are over that 30%, over the 50%, or almost maxed out, by getting another credit card, you can
balance it out.
So let's say, so one of the tools that we use in the credit industry are merchant accounts. They're credit cards that you can only use at that merchant. And so they're good for giving you these really nice limits with lower credit scores because you can only use it there. And they know because their shipping costs are high and their products are crappy that you're not going to use them that often. But they require you to use them at least once and pay the annual activation fee.
Okay.
But they'll give you like 5,000, 3,000, and just giving you those higher limit, it gives you a nice cushion so that your credit score starts to increase, because now you're not at 80%, you're now maybe at 60% or 50. And so that gives you that. So that's one of the tricks that we use to kind of give you that cushion in your utilization. But that's actually the number one area of your score that you can increase it in less than, well, I was saying about 30 days, 30 to 35 days. That utilization or amount owed category.
Utilization or amount owed. Okay.
Utilization is part of amount owed, but it's in that category. So that's the one you want to focus on if you are looking to do it relatively quickly.
Okay.
Then your age, your length of age. A lot of people think that it's based on just your open accounts, but when you're talking about the FICO score, which is the king of all FICOs, of all credit scores, it's going to look at open, closed accounts, not your negative. So you're not going to look at your public records or your collections. It will do charge-offs though. So it's looking at the length of the age of your oldest account on your entire credit report, and two, the cumulative, is it cumulative? I guess average age of all of your. And both of them are equally important. So that's why when I see a lot of people, I want to remove all my student loans, and I see they've had those student loans since 1997. I'm like, no, you're not.
No, keep that right there.
Keep that right there. We're going to bring it current. That's what we're going to do.
Right.
Because it doesn't go away anyway, you know.
Yeah.
The government wants money, so just make it current. Make it current. The length of age is also the area you want to focus on if you're looking to get into that perfect 800 tier. And it's the number one reason why people remain in the 700s for so long, because they just haven't allowed their credit to age yet. And so also why we state not to apply for so many things and get new accounts, because it just shortens it and shortens it and shortens it and shortens it. You have an account from 1997, but because you keep adding on stuff, what is it doing? It's shortening that length of age. And so credit score is lower. And so I want to be at 850. I don't understand. That's why I stopped applying for stuff.
Right. Just let it sit for a while. Right.
Get some age to it. Yes.
Right.
And then the next one is your credit mix.
Credit mix.
Credit mix is really important to the lender of whichever credit account or credit type you're looking for. So credit mix is just a mix of different credit accounts. So it's the cars, the student loans, the credit cards, the type of credit cards, the type of loan. And this is really important. Let's say you're going for a home loan. They're going to look at your credit report and want to see how you have managed your other mortgage accounts. If you don't have any mortgage accounts, okay, well, how have they managed their other loans? And then how are they managing their other credit accounts? Do they have a good mix going on?
Okay.
Our lenders, the same way. And then credit cards, like I'll never forget when I was building my credit, and I was like, oh my God, you didn't approve me for my increase. And so I called them to see why. Right. And they were like, well, you know, if we give you the increase that you actually do qualify for, we'll be the only one that's giving you an increase in that limit, and we don't feel comfortable with that.
I see. Okay.
So they go by how you and what balances. So I didn't even know they looked at that. I was like, really? Okay. Why don't you want to be the number one winner? Why don't you want to just give me that limit? And it's that risk. I hadn't been doing good long enough.
Okay, makes sense.
So that's how the other ones come into play. And then inquiries. Some lenders call this the fifth factor because it's like the last thing that they look at. I notice credit cards view it a little bit more, I guess, worse than maybe our lenders and your private student loans if you're applying for that, or a home loan. It's actually called the new credit category, but inquiries make up a huge chunk of this. So it's going to look at not only the inquiry, because there are some accounts that you can get without having an inquiry, but they also look at the appearance of a new account being on your credit.
Okay.
So you can't get dinged for both. You don't necessarily have to get dinged. Like once you get up into the upper 7s and 8s, it doesn't even affect you anymore.
Right.
You can apply stuff, it doesn't really affect you. You see, but if you're in the lower tier, you're gonna feel the heat from applying for stuff over and over because you're higher risk.
Right.
Okay, and then the great thing about the inquiry section that not too many people talk about is that if you have an account that's in arrears, aka late, if you bring that account current, it has to be open. If you continuously make payments and bring it current, FICO gives you extra points in that category because you're taking a derogatory account positive. You're making strides to take it positive.
You're making that shift from it being derogatory, so they see that your habits are becoming better.
Exactly. So it's in that 10% new credit. So it's 35% payment history, the biggest, 30% amount owed, 15% length of age, 10% new credit, 10% credit mix.
10% credit mix.
Yes.
So for the individuals that are concerned, as I mentioned before, about using credit and digging into debt, what suggestion do you have? So you mentioned, I know, things like merchant accounts and using merchant cards, things of that nature. For someone that may be a little fearful to go back to getting credit cards and all those things, any suggestions on what they can do to use credit without like really digging themselves into like a hole of debt?
Absolutely. Stay away from the merchant accounts and stay away from the store credit cards.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, you want to get if you qualify, a cash rewards card. If not, you can work up to that. And then it's about usage. Those type of clients, you can freeze the card. You don't necessarily need the actual card itself. And then get a bill. I have a lot of people on the Netflix, Hulu, Sling TV, or maybe a utility bill, a bill that happens every quarter, like a water and water and trash, a little bill that comes out, or the quarterly homeowners association. Have it go onto that card, and then that way it's something small. It's something that's reporting on your credit. It's something that's already on your budget that you're doing anyway. And then what I do is on the due date, I'm all about the automation life, but if you want to physically pay the bill, you can.
Yeah.
And you know, you can either send it to them or have it taken out. I personally love me just a bill account. That way I don't touch it. I don't use it for anything else but fixed bills. I love bill accounts for fixed bills.
Okay.
And that way, when you set up that little rotation, you're not using it for anything else. You're still using cash. You just, you know, injected your little credit card into the mix and kind of did a spin around. So, okay, my homeowners association is automatically going to bill my dues on this date on this credit card. I'm going to set it up so that my bank account pays the credit card when that statement date comes out. So you see, you have to know the date that the homeowners association is due, the date that the statement is going to come out for that credit card bill, and then you can kind of automate it and then just monitor it each month to make sure that it's been paid and everything's okay. Especially if you get a card when you're first starting off that has a annual fee, you want to make sure you account for that too, if you're doing automation. But you're just monitoring from there. And that's the beauty of paying by the statement date, because you have 15 days to correct something that may have
right.
wrong, right? Let me hurry up and fix this. And you have time, don't have to make the phone calls. Can you please waive my late fee?
Right, because you've already paid before it was due anyway, so you have time to fix any errors.
So that's what I would suggest. Just use your same cash schedule and just kind of have one of those bills automatically post to the credit card. And don't carry the credit card. I can show you right now. I have all my husband's credit cards with me because he has a Swipe Pro. So.
Right. Just go. Let me get that one. I'll just swipe this one.
There you go. You don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah.
What's crazy is I did mention to Marsha that we're house hunting, but when we first married, it was a horrible season rather. You know, the market was crap, and I'm a realtor. I had just been diagnosed with cancer, and then after one of my surgeries, I found that I was pregnant with our first son. So all of that happened like right.
Wow.
It was bananas. And so we were paying for our house at that time, and it was less than $130. Because of his credit and his interest rate, it was like $1,700 and something. We just for $450. Okay.
Yeah.
Like $1,699.
Wow. Wow.
What?
Yes.
I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? And
wow. Look at that. Yeah. So
how important credit is. No, we're not spending $450 for those of you.
Right.
No, I'm not. But
come on down. We have some down here for around $450.
I'm not doing it. I'm too cheap for that. Okay. But you know, it was just like we were sitting back like, oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. The interest rates have gone up.
Yeah.
Credit is probably like almost 200 more than it was at that particular time that he purchased before. And we got money to put down. Remember, it was 100% programs were big back then.
They were. Yeah. They were
putting
big.
money down, yes, is big. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have went over home ownership yet, but that's like huge, the ability to be able to put something down or find a down payment assistance program. So that just shows you how significant credit is, even in that process with the interest rates and terms. We were like, oh my God, 130 to 450, and we're paying a little bit under that.
That's amazing. That's it. But that, like you said, it just goes to show you how much credit really matters. And I like what you said before is that when we get in a mind frame of thinking that a credit report means debt, and I'm sure that that's been picked up from, you know, maybe experts in the industry that, you know, now they've had issues before, so it's now like credit just means debt, but it doesn't. And I think it kind of goes back to what you said before when it comes to opportunities for jobs, when it comes to being part of certain organizations, all of it. If you think that people don't look, they do. Like that happened to me earlier, latter part of last year, and I'll tell you, for a speaking engagement. Yes, they pulled my credit, and I was like, whoa. And it was literally like 2 days before the speaking engagement. And I said, okay, well, I don't know what they're looking at, but they asked for my social security number. So I was like, that's odd, because I had already done a background check, and I was like, wonder what this is for. But after that speaking engagement, probably a week later, a letter came in the mailbox where my credit had been pulled by them.
Oh my gosh,
it just goes to show you, though. It just goes to show you, because I think it goes back to like credibility.
Yes.
It goes back to credibility. So it's not, I don't think when we think sometimes about a debt report, maybe years ago, that may have just been the case. But now there's just so many things involved with when it comes to credit and what's on your credit, your data, as you mentioned before. It's like well beyond that. But at the same time, it's like you just mentioned, when you see yourself going from one place in the past and see a jump where you're able to get approved for more. And it may not be a credit card, but it could be something like a home for your family. And you're like, I remember years ago when I couldn't get approved for a $100,000 house, and now look at me. It just gives you a level of confidence. So whether you want a huge house with a big mortgage payment or not, just to have that feeling of knowing that you have transitioned and grown from one place to another, I think it just does a ton for your confidence and self-esteem.
Yes. And it's just, well, your credit score is on. I remember I used to like, let me check your credit. I used to be sitting there, please. Kind of like when, you know, you're not been budgeting and you go and swipe the debit card, and you're standing up there like, please go through.
Or you're in line trying to be on your phone oh, I hope this money's in there. Please let it not.
Yeah, so just not having to do that anymore. Like,
that's right.
My clients was like, oh, I walked up into Bank of America like, yes, you will be giving me this. Right. I was cracking up. And it's just that level of confidence.
It is.
Yeah, not stressing. And who couldn't benefit from less stress in their life?
Everyone can. Everyone. And it makes, no matter what anyone says about it, it just makes you feel better. And I can totally understand if you're not there yet, ladies. So just like Natiba is sharing with us, if you're not there, I don't think it's about being there at this moment, but as you progress and as you transition and you begin to see your credit score rise or to see it jump, it just does give you a really good feeling. And at this moment, the easiest thing may be to say that, you know, it doesn't matter. I don't want to use it. I want to use cash for everything. We all know, like, are you going to go out there and buy that house for cash? Maybe. Like maybe you are, but I think we always have to keep everything from a very real perspective. As you mentioned, everything is possible to buy with cash. I know that, but credit is not the enemy. Would you agree with that? Credit is not the enemy.
Absolutely. And to your point, I mean, just to give the ladies some more encouragement. I mean, I am not like the epitome of perfection here.
Yeah,
I was not managing my money well. I've had probably every bad credit ranking you can imagine, from judgment, tax lien, foreclosure.
Yeah.
See, like with my medical bills, we were like $500,000 in debt from the medical bills when we had the cancer scare and all of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had to file bankruptcy. And so in 18 months from the time that I filed bankruptcy, I went from like just shy of 500 to like, I think it was like 702, 703 in 18 months.
Wow.
That's just habits, making sure that I didn't make the same mistakes before. I mean, people always say the kids are my why. My kids are the reason why I do X, Y, and Z. You got to change your habits to match that statement. So when I had my son, I was just like, okay, we gotta mix. And then the stress. I couldn't do it anymore.
No.
When it starts affecting you, you get the cancer in your body, you recognize how much your peace of mind is.
That's right.
Peace of mind to me is everything now.
It's priceless. It's priceless.
Yes. Better than that BB's outfit and those
Aldo. Oh no.
It's
No.
more important than all of that. So
All of that. All of that. Oh, that's so good. That's such a good message. It really is, though, because it's so true. I think as you mentioned, when you get to that place of realizing like that's what true peace means, then so many other things just don't matter, because when that stress goes away, you're like, never again. I won't revisit that again. No, because then you better understand what matters. You truly understand what matters. Oh, that's so good. Ladies, I hope you're getting this. It's some good stuff. I could just sit here and talk all day. So tell me this, Nativa, what is something to avoid then? So for our credit, so for the ladies that are listening, what are some things that we totally need to avoid when it comes to our credit score and our credit report?
late payments.
Late payments.
I just recently had a consultation. I call it the field of green. When you look on a credit report and everything's green, that means that you pay on time.
Yes.
Like green, 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 green. And then it had one yellow. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's like 60 something points for one late. I was only late one time. FICO does not care that you were only late one time.
No,
so
they don't.
Avoid late. But before you even reach 30 days, keep in mind you have 51 days to contact the creditor and try to make arrangement. So from the time you get to the statements to the time it reports your late payment, you have 51 days. I know most of us spend that time trying to figure it out, trying to get the money, trying to decide who's going to get paid what. Communicate.
Okay. Okay.
There are hardship programs that most creditors have. I won't say all, but most of them have.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of communicating and see who's going to give you a deal that actually frees up some money to pay the ones or to make arrangement with the ones that aren't as lenient or that you don't qualify for the hardship programs for. So definitely communicate to avoid the late payment.
Okay.
The utilization is king. Just like it can raise your score in 35 days or less, it can tank it too if you go over that amount. So make sure you keep those balances low. People have seen a huge increase just by bringing the balances down. I'll never forget, I had an older lady. She was trying to get into a senior citizen building and could not figure out, like, I'm getting denied. I can't believe that at this age you're checking my credit. And I'm like, yes, they're checking your credit. It's still important. It's going to be with you to death, honey. I have to tell her. That's true.
This is true.
And, I followed up with her after I gave her a few tips. And she was like, can you believe my credit score increased just from paying my bills on time and keeping these balances low? I was so funny. But it's something that's simple. Something that simple.
That simple.
Increases your credit score. Paying on time and keeping those balances low. Those are the two things. Because if you recall, that's 65% of your score.
Yeah.
65.
Yeah.
So I would definitely do that. Not applying for too many things at the same time.
Okay.
Like there's some conditions, like if you're doing a car or a student loan or a home, you can shop around for as much as you like within a 45-day window, and it counts as one inquiry. So it'll still be listed. So don't get freaked out when you see every single company. But FICO will only score it as one inquiry. That's
within 45 days.
Within 45 days.
Okay.
Now, it does not apply for personal loans, does not apply for credit cards. Okay. So a lot of people will try, to go and say, oh, I got this for, applying for this, and this, trying to get extra credit just because it becomes addictive when you actually can get stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't apply for a lot of things because remember, it shortens the age if you're approved. And remember that inquiry category. If you're just starting to get new good credit and you start applying for stuff, your risk level is going down.
Okay.
Your scores may not go down, but when a lender looks at your information, now you're more of a risk because you're applying for things.
I see.
So every creditor or lender is looking at what are the chances of this individual's hitting the 90-day late mark or filing bankruptcy.
That's what they're looking out for.
Yes, so they're looking at 90-day late bankruptcy, chances of filing bankruptcy. So you definitely want to avoid that as well.
Okay.
Those will be like the main things. I mean, those are the main things that I see often. Not paying on time, keeping those balances too high, and applying for too many things at once outside of the three categories I mentioned: student homes, loans, and cars. So
then if we have utilizations that are a bit high, our focus then needs to be make sure that we're staying current. Number one, make sure we're paying on time, or statement date. Remember, ladies, that's the key. The statement date doesn't have to be the due date. And as you mentioned, if we notice that our utilizations are high, then place our focus there. So maybe not on being debt free, which could be a great thing as well also, but look at your utilization limit, see where you are, and try to kick those down as much as you possibly can. Like if your goal is to raise your score.
Absolutely. And avoid not using credit.
Yeah.
Utilization is not good.
Okay.
So 0%, I never mentioned that. That's not good. And I will also think about having credit to be a part of your entire web cycle. So most of our goals are so money related, and it makes it much easier when your credit is on point, and that ties into that money goal. I want to travel the world. Make sure your credit on point. You got to stay somewhere.
That's right. This is true. Yeah.
To drive something, you may have to get a job, whether it's in this country or the next, and they're going to want to monitor you some kind of way. So
that's right. Maybe
a different credit system, but let me see how you were at least doing on the system that you were on, or the scoring that you were using. So it's an integration into the money goals that lead to your overall goal. So
to your overall wealth. So it does matter, ladies. It does matter. It matters big time. It matters big time, and I think we just have to digest that, realize that it's not a debt report. Think of it as a data report. I love that so much. Thank you for saying that. I'm going to use it. Listen, I'm going to use it all the time, like I came up with the idea. I just love that so much. Well, listen, you have been a wealth of knowledge. Tell everybody where they can find you, though. Where can they find all of your good information? How can they contact you if they need you for credit help? Anything. Tell them how they can find you.
You can find me. I answer a lot of credit questions at creditmakesense.me. Creditmakesense.me.
Okay.
And if you'd love to chat, we do have a free consultation that we do available just to kind of see where you're at. A lot of people are like, should I, pay for somebody to do it, or is it just a little, things that I should do? I love to at least let you know where you stand. Yes, you're going to need some help, or no, you just need to do X, Y, and Z. You should be good to go. So if you need that kind of direction, you can go to soarmyscores.com. There is a link that says free consultation for you to schedule that. So soarmyscores.com.
Soarmyscore.com.
Scores with an S.
Scores.
My scores.
Soarmyscores.com. And I'll send these notes out, ladies, so you guys can have them. Well, thank you so kindly for joining us. I appreciate you. A wealth of knowledge, a ton of knowledge. There needs to be like a credit class. We need to get you in Charlotte for a credit class, because this was so good. I appreciate you. Have safe travels. If there's anything I can do for you, please reach out to me, okay? So on behalf of myself and all the members, all the ladies, thank you so kindly.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a good night, okay?
Bye. Thank you.